Okay.
Hello, Tom Shillue.
The gals. The gals can come in, right?
Yes, of course they can.
Hi, guys.
How's it going, man?
Good,
Hello.
Good. How you doing?
Good.
How are you?
Jim just had a very big bowel movement, so he's feeling good.
Yeah.
A big one?
Yeah.
Is it in size?
Yeah, I think so. Well, he was gone for a long time. So.
Most people talk quality. They don't talk size.
It was not good
It
quality.
was just, it was bad, very poor quality.
Yeah, bad. That's why I'm more of an optimist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if the quality is poor, then I'll mention the size.
Yeah.
To say like, well, the size was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really relaxing. Congratulations on the book, man. How
Thank
long
you.
did you work on this?
A year. Took a year.
Okay.
But, really, let's face it, a long time. Because there's the stuff, it's stories that, have been germinating for a while.
Right.
But then you have to sit down and write it. So, I pitched it last spring, and then I kind of, over the summer, I had to write it and pass it in Thanksgiving, and then edit over the holidays, and then it's all of a sudden done.
Did you like the editing? I enjoyed editing when I wrote books. The idea of going back, I kind of like that process because you keep fixing it and you keep like, wow, that was. Oh, you look at something like, oh, that was. Oh shit, I thought that was good. You gotta,
Although, you know what's good is fixing is good, but also good that you can't fix like the deadlines.
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
honestly, I've been waking up in a sweat before the book came out, thinking, I can't change anything. I can't change it. And like, when it's done, you're like, I can't change it. So the good thing is having to work with an editor and get it done and be like, okay, deadline. She doesn't like this. Okay, well, it's gone. Like, you didn't like that chapter.
You have to make a
Right.
decision,
Lose it.
and that's the decision. It's been made.
Yeah.
And it's over.
So it's kind of great. And
Wait, the editor took chapters out?
yeah, like, I wrote. It's probably. I wrote like 85,000 words or something, and it's down to like probably lost 15,000 words.
Oh, because it was the size of it. Sure.
Yeah. So, chapters like stories. Like this story, it doesn't work. It's like maybe you've already talked about this kind of thing. So it was like, just a scalpel. And
Sure.
I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, the
makes sense.
editors are good at telling you what makes sense, but I didn't like them messing with jokes at all. Like, I
Oh,
wouldn't.
yeah, no. I think Carrie Thornton was my editor at Day Street, and she was great and very tough. And I joke in the book, in the acknowledgments, I say my next book is Mean Editors for a Better America. Like, and I was kind of afraid that she would take it as a slam, but she totally knew what I was talking about. Because
Right.
she's like, she would just unabashedly send the thing back without a bunch of writing in it. And I'd be like, what happened to that thing? She's like, didn't work.
It's gone. It's not there anymore.
You know what you have to say to her? I always correct them, and I go, I understand the funny.
You phrase it like that too?
I do. And I touch the table with my one finger, like when you're lecturing someone.
You're not going to take my funny away.
You're not going to take my funny away.
So it's about your growing up, pretty much.
Growing up, yeah.
And when you pitched it, do you pitch it as like a concept, and then when you have to sit down and write it, you're like, okay, like I had a couple of stories involved in the pitch, but now I have to figure out.
Yeah.
I got a whole book full of stories that I have to now do.
Yeah. And it was like, is it going to be chronological? Is it kind of a memoir? Because I turned in a bunch of stories about growing up, which were funny. Like, I tried them on stage. It's funny. It's like talking about my dad, how the classic, like, we grew up different. So it's stories about my dad. And that's how I sold the book, right? And then it's just early childhood. So then you got to kind of decide, is it going to be all about childhood? So I kind of ended at college. And so the second half of the book kind of takes a turn. I saw you were reading it last night. I
was, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I saw
yes.
a candid photo of you.
Yeah, it was super candid.
You're pretending to read the book.
No, it was just someone, I was just doing my reading, and somebody
Someone snapped the photo?
somebody snapped a photo. I don't know how it got done.
Yeah.
So I like the cover, by the way. It's a Norman Rockwell painting.
Rockwellian.
Yes, with
Yes.
Tom's face.
Rockwell, in that it is actually a total Norman Rockwell painting with my head stuck on it.
Right.
And is that his real thing where they cross out the lines, the girls' names?
Yeah, well, the sailor in it is
Saturday Evening Post cover,
Saturday
I
Evening Post,
imagine?
Yeah, it's like a sailor coming back from, whatever, the war, but he's repeatedly getting his girlfriend's names crossed off.
Oh, that's
so it's
funny.
that funny thing of like, he's got a different girl in every port, right?
Right, but they're all the one.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
going to have it tattooed on his arm.
Yeah.
What happened to, why did they cancel Red Eye? That really bugged me.
Okay,
I love that show.
Here's the word, and I don't think I would. I can reveal all this. It's live. It's live coverage. That's the secret word. Live coverage. They're moving to live coverage. They want to be live because the prime time used to be pre-taped. Everything was pre-taped.
Right.
So people say live coverage. You've said that before on the radio. Live coverage. Well, what do you mean? Like, how did that knock you out? Well, we used to tape, at 8 o'clock when everyone was done.
Right.
There was nothing going on. You used to come over there to Fox.
Sure.
O'Reilly was already taped.
Right.
Megan was taped. Like, they would pre-tape at 4 or 5 o'clock. And we would be there kind of taping after hours from 8 to 9. Now, they're, Tucker's live 8 to 9. The 5 is live 9 to 10. So that's how we got bumped out, is now prime time.
Just because of the studio space?
Yeah.
They canceled the show for studio space?
Look, we were always a low-budget show, and we were in there, and they were like, now we're going live, and then the whatever extra crew is there for breaking news, which they like to go to breaking news, so they have the crews. So basically, it was basically the entire crew. We were 7 people.
Wow.
Right.
Red Eye was 7 people.
Which is crazy for TV.
Yes.
It makes no sense.
And it was good. Like, what we did with 7 people. Now, we
It's
needed
pretty
you
amazing.
guys. Like, the show was obviously 90% just what happened on the set. But still, you got to line up the stories.
Right.
You got to write my intros. You got to write your intros. We got to make fun of your hair. And, like,
Sure.
We had to do things.
That doesn't just get done.
Yeah.
It has to happen.
But for what it was, for the low budgetness that it was, I thought it was, obviously, it was great. The show was great. I loved it. You guys, I hope, loved coming on.
Yeah, I
But
do.
it was essentially always operating on borrowed time, in that it was, let's make use of this crew that's still here. People work in
Gotcha.
shifts. It's like
So even if you had been like, we'll do it live at 3 a.m., they're like, we're not bringing a whole crew
We're not bringing a whole
in.
crew, right? Okay.
they're not there.
Right.
The kind of crew that shoots a primetime schedule and the control room that does primetime, we were using the people who directed all the other big primetime shows, but they had extra time on their clock, essentially.
Right. And now it's like, so they do the 5 live and then Hannity's live too?
Hannity is sometimes live, I think.
So
I should probably know, but
But you don't
know
have reliable studio time until like, now it's 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah, and
and
they're-
everybody's way over their hours or whatever.
Yes.
So 9 to 10. I didn't realize that's when the 5 was on. I've never seen it.
9 to
5
10
is
yeah.
now, they're over there. Greg Gutfeld and Dana Perino are sitting there from 9 to 10 doing a show.
Right.
It's late,
Yeah.
And then they're in a bigger studio, so they need more people. They got the crew, the camera guys. Remember we would go in there and they had that dolly camera and no one was operating it because
Yeah.
we only had like 2 camera people.
Yeah.
And then the guy would run over, like he'd leave the camera steady on us and then he'd run over and shoot Andy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it really was because people used to joke, they'd say, it's almost like a public access show. It really was.
Right.
It was all done with extra people.
Did you
That
try
makes sense, though. By the way, the way they would shoot that at like 9 o'clock, that does make sense. That like, if they're shooting live stuff, there's no when they're going to shoot your show. That
Yeah.
sucks. You guys can't do it earlier in the day. There's no crew.
I'm willing to, but I mean, if you
It's
look over
live
there,
shows-
it's a machine. They're going
Yeah.
from one show to another. They got shows.
Yeah, because it's live shows all day pretty much. And did you try to like fight for it with any ridiculous, like, what if I just get my buddies from home to come in and operate the cameras?
Yeah.
Like there's other people that we can.
Well, that's what I'm doing now. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm doing. I've been filling it on radio, which I love.
Yeah.
because radio is great.
Yes, radio is really fun.
It's so good.
Right. You can
And-
actually talk about your stuff. It's not like, okay, get your point out. Okay, we gotta go.
It's called radioing.
Yes.
That's what we say we do. We're radioing. That's the proper term.
That's jargon.
Yeah, that's insider jargon.
But it's no makeup. I mean, I always thought, like, I didn't mind going in and then you get the makeup done. It was just part of your day or whatever. But then not doing makeup is way better, to the point of where I can't even believe we got you guys to come over and go into makeup and then do red eye.
Yeah, it's way
Like,
better.
it's that much of a pain.
How about Fox Business?
We'd be great. I mean, look, here's what I'm doing. I'm still a thorn in their side. Don't think I'm not firing off emails because I'm over there. I work at Fox. They use me on the shows. I just did the Specialist the other day. I just did Gutfeld shows. So I'm very busy over there. Plus, any extra time I have, I'm filling it on radio.
It's funny though, like shows like The Specialist, you're like, God damn, I have to do the shows of the people who were doing my show.
Who's got the specialist?
That's Ebony K. Williams and Kat Timpf.
And Bowling, and Eric Bowling. And then two specialists. You guys you start thinking of your specialty.
I know.
What do you have to be a specialist in?
You have.
I have a specialty, but I'm embarrassed that you won't like the way I say it.
What's the specialty?
Making mirth. Is that douchey?
Yeah. Have they done a pro wrestling show yet?
They could.
Yeah.
They could.
Hopefully somebody in the industry will die or something, and they'll need a pro wrestling specialist to come in and and explain what's really
So
going
they only
on.
have specialists on things?
Well, they have the specialists. It's kind of like and they get people. There's people in media and whatever. I'm a specialist at I'm a barbershopper.
Right.
I'm a professional barbershop quartet singer.
Yeah.
I'm a mean dad. That we put that
That's
in
a
there
specialist.
because we were able to plug the book and have a specialty as well.
Yeah.
And then we just talk about the issues of the day. It's just kind of a fun way to get through it.
Yeah.
I'm the last professional broadcaster. That's a specialty.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a real treat to work with you.
I appreciate that.
A real honor to watch you work.
But I'm digital now. I'm on radio, but we do Facebook Live the shows because you guys do. There's cameras here, right?
Yeah.
Right over there,
So
those
we get
things.
Oh, there we are.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we've been getting a lot of viewers on Facebook Live. I've been holding on to the Red Eye fans, giving them something to have, and then you come over and they're like, "Oh my God, Sam is here."
It is fun doing the radio show when you see the people on Twitter that are all the Red Eye loyalists that have followed Tom and Andy, because Andy does it with him.
Okay.
Over to the radio thing.
Yes, and so my goal is to recreate the spirit of Red Eye. Right now, I'm doing a lot of radio, so I'm not going to sneeze at that. That's great. Boom, radio.
Yeah.
And then we got digital. We got we had 500,000 viewers late night on Red Eye. Do you think I can get that on online? If we do if I do a show
If you
and
did
it's
a- if you
on
did an-
digital formats,
And you were getting 500,000 people watching regularly?
why not?
That'd
I
be a
can
huge success.
It'd be a huge success. But if I can do that, then they'll be happy, and then
Oh my
who
God,
knows
yeah.
what? Yeah. And
Yeah.
then there's always TV. There's more to be had. So instead of sitting around and waiting, give me another show.
Right.
Put me on a panel show or whatever. I'm trying to, and this is what, when people are texting me, like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing over there? Or people being angry at Fox for canceling the show. I'm getting, what do you call? I get, some get going. I get going. Some get, whatever.
When the going gets tough,
The tough get
tough
going.
That's it. That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
And you're saying the going got tough.
It did. I
So
got
it's time
nothing.
for the
I'm
tough
building-
Tom to get going.
He's getting going.
Yes, so I'm broadcasting over there, and I'm trying to build a show, and I think that there's not, FNC hasn't had enough stuff online,
In the digital space.
What about
And
a
honestly,
show that's 100% online?
If you could get a digital show,
FNC. Sounds like you're talking about three different people. All right, go ahead.
if you could get a digital show to get 500,000 people, they'd be way more impressed than they were for Red Eye. You would be like a big star then, as opposed because that's
To be
huge
like,
digital
yes.
numbers.
Yeah, look what this guy did
Right.
with the internet, which I'm sure still mystifies some people.
How long did you host it for?
2 years.
When Roger Ailes left, do you think that because it seems like so much stuff has changed since he left?
Yeah.
I mean, plus O'Reilly's thing, no one could see coming, but also
Left the channel or the planet?
no, before when he stepped down.
Gotcha.
His death didn't affect it because he'd already stepped down.
Yes,
But then O'Reilly leaving and Hannity, maybe there's so many changes. Do you think that you were just kind of part of that shakeup?
Well, that too. There was so much going on over there. And but also, I think more than anything, it's like the change in because you could see, what's happening in cable news. Things it used to be. Do you remember, even 10 years ago, it was just even the prime time was extra. Hey, let's put some opinion programming on at night.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it became the biggest thing. So now all the biggest shows are the opinion shows, that are on in prime time. So they.
There really aren't any news on cable. None of the shows in prime time are straight news. Even
Right.
the Anderson Coopers of the world that would probably try to portray themselves as more straight news is opinion.
Although
based.
6
It's
o'clock
personality based.
over at FNC was what I like to call it. 6 o'clock straight news. 6 to Brett Baer.
Brett Baer's
Total straight news. A great
and
show.
Shep is straight news.
Shep
too.
is straight news.
I like Shep and Brett Baer.
And they get huge. So the thing is, it's always that it's beef up the opinion program, beef up the thing. So we were we got swept up in the whirlwind of that. And like I said, we were always the little guy. So it's amazing that we got. I keep telling people who are angry, it's true, be angry, but my whole tenure there was extra time anyway. They were like, let's take this guy who's always here. He's getting annoying.
Yeah.
He's filling in for Greg all the time. He obviously wants his show. Let's let him run it for a while. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because so it was essentially maybe I was on borrowed time the whole time. Who knows?
Right.
But
Yeah.
it was good to do it while I did it.
Are you taking notes, watching Tucker Carlson climb that ladder as quickly as anybody's
gosh.
ever climbed it? I mean, he's amazing.
But he was always amazing.
Yeah.
Like, listen, go back to that thing with Jon Stewart.
Uh-huh.
When they were like, Jon Stewart destroys Tucker Carlson destroyed him back then. He was always amazing.
And even if you did think that Jon Stewart destroyed him, he still looked completely unshaken by it. I've never seen that man look shaken, whether he's winning or losing a debate. It's like nothing bothers him.
Yeah.
How's he doing in the ratings? He's doing very well.
Yes.
At one point, right?
And I mean, I don't know what the I never know what numbers because I'm not obsessed with that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, he's the best. I like him.
Do you have an office there?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Yeah. You and Andy share an office?
No, Andy's down the hall, so it's funny because there's still the skeleton. It's Andy still there, and I'm there. But almost everyone who was on Red Eye, almost all the 7 people, moved to other shows and things. So
the camera guys,
well, yeah, they're all doing camera. But then the actual staff, like Christine, our booker, she's working in the documentary unit. So they're all in different places.
Oh, okay.
So we see them around, and so anyway, Andy is doing what he did before. He's at his desk and he does other shows and things like that.
What does he do on the other shows? Do you do the same type of thing?
Yeah, he gives his take on things.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Hot takes.
So you guys are under contract, I'm sure. If you're under contract for a while, they probably don't want to just, so you make something happen before that's up and you'll get another one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not just that I'm under contract that they got to find something for me. They do like me there.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying it's
I have an ability.
Meaning, but from a business point of view, the businesses that never really care about the people. You know what I mean? It's like if you're there, they're going to say, okay, let's see if you can come up with something else, or we'll come up with something else for you.
And they do love it's a great. I love it over there. They have their people. They're good to their people and their contributors and stuff like that. So they're always looking to use them, and so I'm just trying to be extra useful. I'm like, I'm letting everyone know what I want to do.
Plus, I probably love that you came out with a book, and it's like not some weird Fox News tell-all. It's here's some stories from when I was growing up. This is crazy.
It's a non-political book.
Right. It's great.
I think it's time for listen. I shouldn't even
Tell me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sick of talking about this nonsense.
What nonsense? The book?
The president.
Oh.
I don't hear much about him.
What? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I wouldn't even mind if I had to talk about these issues all day and like James Comey. But let me talk about it because that's my job, talking about the issues. But why is everyone talking about it on every show? It's so ridiculous.
Meaning that like shows that these aren't political shows. It's a comedy show. It's a this type of show. It's a that type of show. Everybody is just talking about.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is. I think it's because one of the reasons is because he is an entertainer, and so like this thing.
He's pointing towards me.
Not Jim.
He's an entertainer.
Yeah. He is an entertainer. But like Donald Trump being an entertainer first before he was president means that like this whole thing, like political news now also gets categorized as Hollywood gossip technically.
Yeah.
And gets categorized as business news over here because he was a real estate guy over here. And he also, whether you want to say he dumbed things down or just his way of speaking is more like the common person, it really makes it seem like anybody can understand what he's talking about.
But did you hear about the whole thing with the FBI director?
See, that's it. That's what you got. That's what you got.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he say something like Trump said something? And then, I don't know.
Well, that's it.
It
It's
really
the
is endlessly
the pettiness of the little things about this. I don't even follow.
Minutia.
Like I can't even follow this Kafif thing. Like it was on, and I'm like, I could
Kafifi.
just see.
Kafifi.
I could. Yeah. Why is it Kafifi? Why
Because
did
that's COVFEFE, Kafifi.
Kafifi.
I mean, that's so. I don't know. You put a European twist on it. I
Kafifi.
think. Yeah.
That's how I read
say
it.
Kafifi.
Yeah, it sounds like a cafe, and in the French Resistance.
I did hear somebody say Kavfefe, and I was like, no, it's Kafifi.
The Kafifi may be more correct.
Kafifi.
I know. I wouldn't put the E on the end. I'm American, so I say kafif. Like it's an E, like silent E. Who can turn a can into a cane?
Kafif. Yeah, I guess.
Kafif.
Yeah, no,
Turn a man into a main. Remember that?
I do not.
No.
Silent E.
No.
Oh, come on.
I
Your
do
listeners
remember
know silent E.
conjunction, junction. What's your function?
Yeah, he was one of those. He was a superhero who put E on the end of everything.
Oh,
And-
like Kafifi.
Yeah.
When a bill becomes a law, who wasn't a fan of that song?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Fucking ruled.
I don't know if I was a fan. I acknowledged
awesome.
that it existed.
Do you remember Conjunction Junction? What's your function?
Of course, I remember it, but I wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's a great song."
It's an awesome
just
tune.
acknowledge that
Joining
it-
up words and phrases and such.
Right.
I don't remember how this. I just remember
Well,
the
then
chorus.
it was fairly ineffective.
No, but I was a boy.
See, if all you remember is conjunction junction, what's your function? Then
Yeah.
it served no purpose.
I know, it's the other part.
Yeah, the answer follows it.
But it's the
That's
fact that I
whole
can
reason
remember.
It exists.
Can we hear a little moment of it? If you
Yeah.
don't, the fact that I can remember any of it is a miracle. There's a man in a kilt. Okay,
It's not a miracle. I mean, it's completely.
you still know good music. This is good stuff.
Conjunction junction, what's your function?
Oh, they're cool.
Looking up words and phrases and clauses.
Oh, that's what a conjunction's for.
How's that
I
Oh.
got 3 favorite cars that get most of my job done.
All right, I don't remember.
Troy,
any
you
of
think
these.
this is like a good song? No, it's not like a good song.
But you remember it.
I do remember, yes.
We
Trav,
all remember.
Are you a
it.
fan, Travis, of the song?
No.
No, it's not a
Oh,
great song.
It's a great song. Who is
No.
that singing, too? What is that, like John Hendricks or something? It's obviously a jazz great singing the tune. He's full of talent.
But he probably did not get like credited for it. You know what I mean?
I
They
don't know.
gave him a
Look
day
him-
rate.
Find out who sung the song, because I'm sure he's got...
Conjunction Junction? Yeah, let's look it up. We just write who sang Conjunction Junction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
There's
these
no way you
guys
can
didn't mess
spell it.
around. They got the
Schoolhouse Rock people.
Schoolhouse Rock. They hired the top people.
Right.
At the top of their profession.
Well, yeah, they needed credibility so that people would remember the great lessons, like
trumpet
conjunction. What's your function?
Jack Sheldon.
Jack
That's what
Sheldon.
I thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
Jack
right.
Sheldon.
Of course. The
American
great
Bebop, West Coast Jazz trumpeter, singer. I mean, he's incredible. Yeah. But
He was the music director on the Merv Griffin show. Little trivia.
Thanks for the. You just read it off the thing.
I knew that.
You didn't.
I did. I said that before in the song I mentioned.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I
did
guess
you
I
guys know
wasn't
that Roger
listening.
Ailes used to book the stand-up for Mike Douglas?
Really?
Wow. No.
He was the talent stand-up booker for Mike Douglas.
Oh, I wish. Like, let me ask you, when they have a talent booker, I don't remember the Mike Douglas show as far as them having stand-ups on for guys for interviews or doing stand-up comedy.
Stand-up, like David Brenner, they had a stand-up slot, you know, and because I used to watch it,
Yeah.
because daytime TV, I didn't stay up late, so I didn't see people on the Tonight Show, but I would see David Brenner, and I mean, he's the only guy I remember from the there was
Robert
other
Klein?
guys. Yeah, Robert Klein, and then some impressionists, you know, other people that maybe
Rich
we
Little.
wouldn't remember. Yeah, Rich Little, but I would see them on the daytime shows,
Right.
and they would do, you know, or who's the guy who played the Riddler? Remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
Jack Gorshin.
Yeah,
Gorshin?
Gorshin,
Frank
yeah.
Gorshin.
Frank
yeah,
Gorshin.
people like that were.
I love the Mike Douglas show. It was sloppy.
Yeah.
It was like it was flawed.
Yes.
Like Dick Cavett, like they would do. There was a great interview he did with the Jackson 5. And it was such an awkward, shitty interview. But it was so great because he's like, I hear one of you is a prankster.
Yeah.
And then like one of the kids was like, yeah. And it was like such a dead. But
There
it was
was
so.
dead air.
It
Yeah.
was, but it was such a legitimate conversation. It was great.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Those silences. You never have silences on TV anymore.
Never.
though.
It's just the host hitting the pad.
And drunks. I mean, guys like, you know, Peter Falk, like coming on trashed in an afternoon show, probably trashed from the night before, you know, just showing up. And you could, and even as a kid, I was like, I think they're inebriated, you know, like, it was
Right.
so obvious.
It's also not special to hear celebrities talk anymore. Back then, like when a celebrity did an interview, it was like, oh my God, I'm seeing someone not in the role that
Yeah.
I normally see them in, but they're actually talking. So it kind of meant more. Now you don't give a shit because we always see celebrities yapping about everything everywhere.
So many
Exactly.
shows.
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But it was still fun back then to hear how awkward and lousy so many, like they just didn't know how to be interesting.
Yeah.
You had a good point in your book.
Thanks, brother.
Not you, Jim. I read your book. You had no good points in it. But
Must have
Tom,
skimmed it.
in your book,
Well, Jim will love this book because it's funny because Gutfeld, when I was talking to him about it, and he was like, this is about the 70s. It really is. Like when
Right.
I set to write it, I wanted to write a book about the 70s because no one gets it right. I wanted to have a funny book of stories where people say, "Oh, that's the way it was," because whenever you turn on like like an HBO show that's set in the 70s or any movie or anything,
Vinyl.
it's like everyone's got bell bottoms and they're like, "Hey man," and they have beads and everything. And that's not the way it looked. Like there were no hippies in my town.
Right.
You know, 1974, I was walking around with a crew cut. Everybody looked like Mayberry, and it was like the 50s.
He's from Brooklyn, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Where'd you
Mayberry.
live?
Norwood, Massachusetts. So it was a good American small town. Went to the parades, flags, etc. Like it was old America, you know. And the 70s weren't really there in most of America. It was like New York and LA. Yeah, I get it, but
And you talk about that though, like you kind of credit it to your parents and parents of other people, obviously, that you were raised by the 50s because that was the mentality that your parents had as they were raising you. Right. So do you think that, like, the generation now, like the millennials that get criticized as much as they get criticized for, do you think it's because Gen Xers and the generation before them are the ones raising them? Like, this is what's been instilled in these kids, and that's why they have the behaviors that they have, because that's what they're being raised with?
Well, yeah, I think so. And I don't blame, I mean, I guess people, do they blame millennials? It's
People don't like
You're
millennials.
Young, you stink.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
It's
it.
like, you can't really blame them. They're in the world of today.
Right.
But I don't know. The thing is, there's nothing in the, and you probably noticed, there's nothing in the book that says, you know, it was better the way that
Nothing, no.
And this is the way you have to raise your kids, and I hate this. Like, where, you know, to me, it was like, oh, let's just say the way I grew up exactly,
Right.
and
Without teaching a lesson or like,
yeah, I
or
mean,
like,
there's less you'll take away from it.
there's
what you will.
takeaways. That's
Yes.
different. Like I feel like there's a new trend in the world of memoir where there always has to be like it has to be wrapped in a lesson, and the lesson is literal, and it's right there, and it says, so what I learned from this was, and that comes up like every few pages, and you're
Yeah.
like, I just like the story.
Because we're taught that there has to be a beginning, a middle, and a conclusion. Like everything's a sitcom.
Yeah.
There has to be like an act 1, an act
Yeah.
2, and an act
Sex
3.
how about Sex in the City? It's like, I guess, you know, at the end of the show, typing.
Right.
I don't
guess
know.
It's not always that. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But it's that, like, wrapping it up. Like,
Right.
I guess I learned on this situation, you know, and she always would learn at the end of every date.
It has
like,
to have an
Right.
arc and a completion. I don't give a shit what the character learned. Ugh.
Like, allow me to form the takeaway.
Yes.
Like,
How about
I'll-
you learn nothing? It's just funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How about you didn't learn anything? I don't need to learn something every time.
You just
I don't-
enjoy it.
I don't watch TV just to get an to get an education. I'll watch Discovery or go online. I don't.
Go online. I don't watch TV to get an education. That's what the internet's for.
Yeah,
online.
well, I'll go
Search-
watch educational videos about octopi. We were discussing them before.
Yeah.
Very smart animal
Oh, yeah.
of the.
You know, they cut off their tentacles while they're still alive to make calamari.
Sometimes I don't care for that.
Because why? Because it's cruel.
It hurts.
It's very
them.
cruel.
Imagine if somebody cut off your arm.
But it's why it makes it for fresher calamari.
It probably is to show
Yeah.
the dopey customer that it's fresh.
Right?
Probably you think it'd be the same.
Yeah. it's
I
just-
don't know if those squiggly things really matter that much, though. I think it's okay to chop them up and eat them. And,
Like how a worm just regenerates. It's
Yeah.
just like it's just an
they're so
appendage.
squiggly.
I'm sure they
and-
still have pain receptors though.
I don't know though. Like, do you see what? How can they have pain? They're at the bottom of the sea.
That's true.
The sea is so crushing. Do you ever go down the bottom of the sea?
Yes,
you
many
die.
times.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. No, but the octopus can be down in the inky depths.
Sure.
And they're covered with you know, I always try to stress to my daughters how when you go down, how heavy that water is.
Right.
That's why you get crushed to death down there.
And everybody under the sea thinks it's better down where it's wetter, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
It's not better down there.
But I think for them, you know, chop, chop, chop. I don't think they're going through agony. They're
They
just
do.
like,
they squirm. I was watching. I saw footage of it. It was
You
like
did?
awful.
Oh.
yeah, but it might just be like you know, like nerves, like we're just like whoa, like,
Yeah.
you know, you just fidget a little bit.
Right. I think things in the sea, you know, we got to draw
Don't
the line
matter.
somewhere. Yeah, it's like they're slimy, and you know, they get a hook in their throat. It's not pleasant to go fishing, and even they're like, oh, I'm a good fisherman. I throw them back in. Yeah, after putting a hook in their throat.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way, like with a
slash
net, hit him with a rock.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
I mean, you didn't murder him; you salted.
Yeah.
it's assault with a deadly weapon.
Like, think of the hook in your throat.
right.
Yeah.
It's not good.
And then every minute that they're above water, it's like I'm pushing your head beneath water because
Yeah.
they can't breathe.
And they're being picked up by that.
Yes.
You imagine supporting your full body weight with a hook in your throat.
And then squiggling.
Right.
I'd stay still if it was in my throat.
Just like that.
Yeah, I'd be like,
They'll
I don't
just
want
try to
rock
pinch
the
everything
boat.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're dumb. Fish are stupid
But,
assholes.
but even with this method, of slashing up these idiots, I don't know the statistics, but a lot of vegetarians still eat fish. They'll be like, no, I'm a vegetarian, but I'll eat fish.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that less cruel?
Well, there's so many reasons for their vegetarianism, and I think there's a lot of people who are just, you know, they're in a kind of a diet that they rather not
For
eat
health
red
reasons.
meat. Yeah, yeah. but they're not about the cruelty. Which
Right.
It's a slippery slope. I don't know if you should go down there, but I'm obviously pro using animals. for
Octopuses
all the
show
reasons.
much of the pain-related behavior seen in vertebrates.
How do they know? What did the octopus tell him?
They said it's grooming and protecting injured body parts. There's just, I guess, ways they can tell.
When people are like, dolphins are very close to humans. It's like, they are not. Dolphins aren't even sort of close to humans.
Well, they're pretty smart, though. I mean, I
When was
would.
the last time a dolphin built a house?
They don't have hands.
Wait a minute. Did you ever see the Oprah Winfrey narrated?
Probably.
The Oprah Winfrey narrated documentary on life, and
No.
it shows these dolphins tricking.
You watch weird stuff, man.
Exactly.
I
Well,
love
let's listen to
nature
her
shows.
talk about cereal.
Listen,
Boo.
no, it's. I mean, I would have used a different. I would have used Morgan Freeman or something. I'd like a
Life
different
cereal?
voice. Yeah.
You said, talking
Hey,
about
at least I
life,
didn't
you
go
said
with the magazine. All right, go on now. All right, hold on.
cereal.
Look, it's an amazing video that you can find in all your favorite search engines.
Ask Jeeves. Whichever you want.
Exactly. But the dolphins, it's a certain group of dolphins that they figured out this thing to do where they swim in a circle around fish to freak them out. And then they jump out of the circle. They're like, let me get out of this crazy circle of dolphins. And they jump out, and the other dolphins, laughing, wait with their mouths open and get free fish jumping into their mouths. It's the most amazing thing you ever see.
That is so super dope.
That's smarter than things that you do. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
no,
I'm
no,
not
no,
saying-
no. People say
wait.
that, but like, if you get a group of people together, they're like, we don't have restaurants, so we have to figure out how to eat. Like, humans would figure that out so much quicker than dolphins. And if, like, okay.
Dolphins just knew it, though. They probably didn't even have to figure it out. They're just born with that knowledge.
Really? Well, then they should be born with the knowledge to not be farmed so that we can ride them at resorts.
Well, I mean,
You know,
there's
if
a
they're
disadvantage.
if they're so smart, like
They can't walk. They don't have hands. I mean, there's a lot of things that they can't do physically.
Yeah, they do a lot with what
they can't
have.
think critically.
I'm saying that I don't know if you would figure out that little trick.
I would have.
You would have.
If I was super hungry, yeah. There's no restaurants. You have to figure something out.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would think to circle the fish and make them jump out.
They jump out, and the other fish are like, they have the mouth open, and they're just happily receiving free fish.
Jumping is not like. It's not like when a person jumps. Like it's like there's not that much that fish can do. So getting them to jump is easier.
Yeah, no, the fish are dumb. I'm saying the
Right.
dolphins are smart.
Compared to the
proof-
dumb fish.
Proof of it, and Oprah told me this. No other dolphins figured this out. It's this like this. It's just this group of dolphins.
Oh,
who,
it's super smart. These are the super smart ones.
well, they're just these are the kind of things that dolphins do in their spare time. They think of their own little tricks.
This isn't even. If this were people, it would be like a gang. This is the most violent group of
I know.
dolphins.
It's
This
amazing.
is not.
They're
this-
bullies.
Yeah,
I know
these
they
are
are.
They're
these are
fish bullies.
I know.
terrible dolphins.
But seeing those fish jump
The
into
Latin
their mouths, it
kings
just
of
makes you so
dolphins.
happy. So happy.
I mean, it would. I would like to see that too.
Are you doing any book signings?
Book signings, yeah. I did one. I did my book release was at Caroline's on Broadway.
Oh, okay.
On Broadway?
Yeah, Caroline's on Broadway.
Oh.
And we did a show with Joe DeVito and Dave Smith. And that was great. Those guys are great. And I'm going back to Norwood, my hometown.
Hey.
Do a book signing. I'm going to be at the Walpole Mall.
Walpole.
And so we'll see how the hometown people do. I mean, it's about Norwood. I need everyone in my hometown to read this book, but other people too. But
When are you doing it? The book signing.
next week, the Father's Day weekend, I'll be at Barnes and Noble in Walpole.
Well, that's. I mean, and it's good for all those like outside of Boston, Massachusetts towns. I mean, it's all. I'm assuming very, very relatable.
Yes. And I think, people will email me who are from the 50s. Like, they really were born in the 50s. Like, oh, this is my childhood. And then someone will be like, I was born in 82. This is my childhood. So it's kind of got that, It's really, it's before cable. Like, that's the essential thing. That's when the media started mixing us all together with the
Right.
same videos and the same whatever. Like, the idea of there's so much that I wanted to capture of the just kids world. You know what I mean? Like when you were a kid, you didn't have adults around you a lot of your life.
No.
Right.
You know?
My mother was at home during the day, but I was a little naughty boy
Ruffian.
running around the neighborhood.
You were. What was your town? Where were you from?
Edison, New Jersey.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it's like it's northeast. It's like these towns.
Jim's childhood was the reason why adults had to start being around their kids all the time.
Yeah, I'm the reason they stepped in.
Yeah.
Well, it was. Look, it was more dangerous back then, and you were definitely more vulnerable to predators. But people acted like it was less that way. So your parents let you go out. We would just go in the woods,
Right.
and we would spend the day in the woods between, the mall and it's just woods.
Right.
And
Would
there
you be
was
blowing each other?
no,
Because that's what, I mean, because Jim.
That was high school.
no, it was good.
That was Jim's.
clean
That was
fun.
one of Jim's great pastimes.
Well, you're friends, you share.
And did I mention in the thing about there was so many things you have to leave out because they seem kind of seedy. Because there's stuff that, you're like, oh, I can't write about that.
Why?
Well, like you guys were talking earlier, the great conversation this morning, which I don't know if it's been done to death, but you're talking about the Bill Maher thing and everything,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Well, there was a thing I wanted to put in the book, but it's just weird. Like, you don't want to have any instances of, like, you'd have to spend so much time explaining it. But there was there's a lot of playground stuff and kids misbehaving and kids being bullying and things like that. But there was one of the kids said the N-word while we were playing, like in the sprinkler, like last one in's an N-word, that kind of thing. And kids didn't even know what it meant at the time. We were so young. And my mother stuck her head out the window and she was like, hey, don't say that word, bad word. And then went back in, but there was no. And we were
She
like,
correct.
okay.
It's the first one in. Oh.
Well, it was exactly no, but it was like matter of fact. Like, she didn't call us aside and give us a civil rights lesson or what. Like, she didn't overdo it.
My
It was
mom-
like, no bad
Yeah,
word.
it's a
don't
shitty
say
word. You shouldn't say
Yeah,
it.
That's it. Nothing. But
Over the
like,
weekend, my mom told me the first time she heard the word when she was growing up was from her.
Probably when she was fucking.
That wasn't the story she told. But it was from her mom, who she was like young, and they were in the car, and there's a black person outside the car, and my mom was just kind of looking at him. She'd never seen a black person before, I guess. They grew up, but they were just moving to Detroit from Kentucky, so she was looking at this black guy, and then her mom looks at her and she goes, "That's an N-word." But they don't like to be called that.
Oh, so it was like she was combining racism with trying to give a polite lesson.
I mean, I think at the time where she was from, the South, she would probably be considered very liberal.
Yeah.
Based on that
The
explanation.
fact that she put in they don't like to be
But
called
they don't like
that,
to be
yeah,
called that.
that
That's
that was a very
that's
liberal
progressive.
thinker back in those days, I
Right,
guess.
right.
Yeah. Did anybody?
But then
in
if you're
your-
writing a book, you would. Well, it wasn't your mother. It was a friend of your mother who said that.
No, it's my mom's mom who said that to her.
Okay, your mom's mom. But if you were writing a book and you said that, you would have to be like, oh, now I'm like,
My grandma wasn't racist.
yeah, now
I promise.
it's like, and then someone's going to write a blog like, interesting.
Right.
Sam Rao's grandmother was a virulent racist. So
and they
you're
get
like,
to just take that one quote out of your
yeah.
book, and
then
yeah.
so you want to see that would be a great little thing to write in a book, but then you'd have to follow it up with like 2 pages of explanation about why the time and whatever. So you're like, no, but that would be.
Well, you can be brief. You can be brief and
You
just
could
say
be-
like, I learned the lesson and I didn't use the word after
It
that.
should. Maybe I should have put it in the book. But you know what? The thing is that it's so. We live in an upside down world where everyone's losing their minds.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why Bill Maher has to do a 30-minute monologue. And it's like, I get it. What do you? Who doesn't get what you're talking about? We're all pretending to not understand and all this stuff. So sometimes it's like, well, leave that and go on to the next thing or whatever. But it's that moment would have been like a perfect thing to talk about the 70s, that no one made a big deal out of it. It probably would have made the word magic to some of these kids, and then they would have used it more.
But then you
instead
don't
it
know-
was just like, oh, okay, we can't because that lady just heard us.
Yeah,
And
because
don't say
then
that word
also,
anymore.
what's your lesson in the book? Are you advocating that we should use it, or we shouldn't use it, or it was good then, or it was bad then? We were going through a lot of bad times then. But
know,
I
it's
don't.
like,
I forget it.
Shut up.
Forget. I won't
That's
talk
why.
about it.
It's
then.
like just and it's you read a story, and the thing is that young people, they don't know about the world because no one has told them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying like, oh, this is the way me and my brother were afraid of my dad. I mean, that can kind of rock the world of a 21-year-old because they're like, really? What do you mean? And you're like, then if I sit down and explain it to them, I'm like, that's the way our life was. We were like, our dad was scary to us,
Right.
as was our dad, as was the kids. There was kids in the playground. There was so much fear in our lives. you know?
Yeah.
But the thing is, yeah, our dad, he was an authority figure. But, we were like, yeah, I love my dad. But you never said it. You were like,
No.
oh, he was just that scary guy. I did what I was told, that kind of thing. So I wanted it down on paper. And it's like, read this. Oh, that's that guy. That was his life. Yeah. No one says, they don't tell the truth about,
Right.
about the world.
Right. Yeah. I because I grew up. My dad was similar to yours in the sense that he was
Disappointed.
That's insulting to both of us.
Exactly, I know.
But he was a mean dad. But it was like because that was his job, that was his role. And in hindsight, like I can see that he didn't enjoy it most of the time. He just knew that in order to do this properly, he had to be this person to lay down the law. And like you're right, everything is changed. That is and it was common then.
Yes.
Even when I was growing up in the 80s, but it's become much less. You just don't see it. You see like households where it's non-yelling households.
Yeah.
Where we don't yell.